Today is the start of a new era in AI powered development. So, Google launched Gemini 3.0, and this was highly anticipated. Gemini 3, people have been talking about it for probably months at this point. And I would say, based off of everything I've been seeing, it actually lives up to the hype. So, Gemini 3, it's state of the art across all benchmarks So I have it up right here. You look at humanities last exam, for example, 37.5% to Gemini 2.5, pros 21.6%, GPT 5.1, 26.5%. You look at the math arena apex challenging math contest problems, 23.4% for Gemini 3 Pro to 1% for GPT 5.1 or 1.6% for Claude Sonnet 4.5. Across the board, Gemini 3, its benchmarks are significantly better or the same, or in the case of the SWE bench, which is for software engineering, it's actually slightly worse than what already existed with Claude Sonnet 4.5, but it's still in that same range, right? 76.2% to the 77.2%. So in this video, I want to go through leveraging Gemini 3 for building out an idea. And in addition, we also need to mention how Google also launched Google Anti-Gravity. So this is a next generation IDE development environment. So if you think about your cursors, your windsurfs, this is in that same sort of realm. It's an agentic development environment. Now, through the grapevines, I'm hearing that anti-gravity is actually a fork of windsurf. And so I can neither confirm nor deny that at this point in time, but I'm looking forward to getting further into that as well. And so when you think about Google AI Studio, and Google AI Studio is a great platform for building apps and it's great for getting started with them. But then when it comes to the back end, an anti-gravity may be helpful for that. So what I'm thinking about doing is building out an app with Google AI Studio to get started with it, and then to continue with it within anti-gravity. And what I'll also say is that you can actually use Gemini 3 for free in these platforms. It is rate limited, and I've been seeing some conversation around getting rate limited pretty early. So we'll have to see how far we can get before we have to pay with the API. But I'm very excited about this because if you look in the Google AI Studio, you'll see that there's an app gallery, right? And one of the pros of Gemini 3, from what I'm seeing, is that you can actually you can build games, right? So there's some examples here: landing pages, games, internet favorites. But I'm gonna put my browser right here: immersive games and 3D worlds. So these are all games that were built with Gemini 3. And so sometime back, I believe I saw the head of the Google AI Studio talking about how by the end of the year we'll be able to build games or vibe code games. And I think that this is something that, the gaming industry is extremely large, and something that would be very appealing to people is not just building games, but imagine being able to build a game, make it multiplayer, and have other people also be able to play it, right? Or also be able to get involved. And that's what I would love to sort of push the limits on here. Can we build something that we can use, right? And that other people can use as well, and that we can sort of build together. So I'm looking at what's here. These are all almost kind of like, I'm not gonna say sample games, but these are examples that were built through Google Gemini 3, and then we can kind of maybe take it and do a rendition of it. So I'm seeing this right here. This right here almost feels like an advanced, like Gemini Runner feels like an advanced Guitar Hero or something. And so maybe we start with this one. So I'm gonna click on here, and what's cool about these apps that you can vibe code is that you are able to sort of remix them. I suppose. Well, since that's something, this is one that's already sort of built. So let's just initialize this and see how it works. So it's pretty cool. So okay, so you gotta like kind of jump over these obstacles. You have these. coins. Okay, interesting. You have these coins you can get. That was pretty fun. Let's try this again. I like how it looks. Like the graphics are pretty. This looks pretty cool, kind of techy. Um, you can score points. You get these hearts. You see the points coming out on the side of the screen here. All right, let's try one more time before we get into it. Interesting. So you have this cyber shop. Permanently adds a heart slot and heals you. So you can add almost these like additions to you and powers. All right, let's resume the mission. All right, cool. All right, so that is the Gemini Runner. And so we can go ahead, we can remix this, we can turn it into our own game, right? You can add other features to it. But I'm just gonna to kind of make this simple and to kind of just demonstrate the capability of something like this. I'm gonna turn it into I'm gonna maybe I'll add a feature and then I'm gonna add a feature, I'm gonna modify the name, and then we're gonna take it to anti-gravity, and then we can also connect it to a backend so that it's something that you can sign into and that can be set up for multiple people to use. All right, so we have this game. It's currently called a Gemini Runner, and in the time that we're living in, just in society, it's very clear that creating is more important than consuming, because that is what is sort of driving a lot of the economy. The creator economy is growing. Creating is also propelling marketing, is propelling sales. You see people posting on across social media. We know that the most effective ways of marketing involve content and some form of creation. How can we add a feature that incorporates this sort of concept or integrates this concept or belief system into the game? What kind of feature can we add that um, would do as such? And let me know what you're thinking so that we can sort of decide on that next step. So what I'm doing is I'm telling it a little bit about what we can maybe integrate into this game. It could be a feature that we then incorporate to make this our own, and then we'll go ahead and modify the name, and we'll move on to the Google's anti-gravity from there. So we're getting the first taste of Gemini 3 Pro within this. All right, so to reflect the belief that creating is more important than consuming and to integrate the concept of the creator economy, I propose transforming the game into a live streamer content creator experience. Instead of just running for survival, the player is now a digital creator performing a high-speed run to generate content for their audience. The act of playing is the act of creating. Here is the specification for the changes. The content drone, visual representation of creation. A small high-tech camera drone will now hover over the player's shoulder. It physically follows the player, representing that the run is being recorded and broadcasted. It features a blinking red light. This visualizes the idea that the action is being captured for consumption by others. You are the creator. The stream overlay HUD. HUD. The score counter is renamed to viewers. Collected items are now engagement or likes. A pulsating red live badge appears in the corner. A dynamic live chat feed appears on the left side of the screen. As you play, users will type messages like insane speed, clip that, and content machine, reacting to your gameplay. Upload screen. When you crash, it doesn't say game over. It says stream ended, uploading, but emphasizing that the value created persists. The UI will shift slightly to resemble a modern streaming platform overlay. Here are the code changes. All right, so now instead of this runner being a just a runner playing the game, it's now embodying this notion of the society we're living in, where of the creator economy, and how streaming is becoming a more of a factor, and it's sort of meta in a little bit in that the player is a creator. So let's see. Well, let's before we even start the stream, what can we rename this game to for it to align with the change in the messaging slash concept? And then I think even going beyond that, what I want to do is I want to take the logo from school community. By the way, if you're looking to build, get into AI powered apps, web apps, mobile apps, AI systems, and to take this craft of leveraging AI tools further, definitely join Vibe Code Pioneers. The link is in the description. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the logo from this so that we can embed the aesthetic into the application. So it's going to, okay, so we're going to, I was changing it to viral velocity. To be honest, I don't love the whole viral, I don't like the whole viral concept in this. So I'm going to let this finish and then we're going to adjust it from viral velocity. Let's adjust the name from viral velocity to something embodying less in the way of short-lived and for the moment, and more along the lines of long-lasting and value filled. Let's make this the name, replacing Gemini Runner. I'm going to say, and let's make the overall aesthetic of the game incorporate the style and coloring in the attached image. Let's see what it does to that. Let's see if it adds the like burnt orange and the sort of like that reddish aspect to the app. I'm kind of curious to see what it does. Interesting. Okay, so it's changing the name to Vibe Code Pioneers. This could actually work. So the name of the school community is Vibe Code Pioneers. So you're no longer a streamer chasing fleeting views. You are a pioneer building a legacy. This could actually go. It's all around builders and embodying innovation. Let's see the updates that get made. All right, well, here we go. All right, so we still have in the background that Gemini Runner imaging, but let's just see what it's done. So start mission. Okay, so it's added. So you see it has added like that. It's kind of like pink. And it's kind of now, okay, on the bottom left, it shows as if you have people commenting on the game like a gaming streamer. So I think what I want to do is I actually want to take this. I want to change legacy archive like that. Okay, let's change the Gemini within the game to Pioneer. Let's change Gemini hanging at the top within the game to Pioneer, and the home screen. Let's completely shift that to Vibe Code Pioneers. We shouldn't see in the background the remnants of the Gemini runners. Then we'll go with attached is what I want to change with the Gemini wording, and also a copy of the Vibe Code Pioneers logo. And then, by the way, with Gemini, there's also a way to annotate the app now with Google AI Studio. You can annotate the app. So if for whatever reason it doesn't make the changes as we are working on it here, there's a way of getting it to be a more pointed modification. All right, so to implement the rebranding, I'll remove the Gemini references in the old background image, replacing them with dedicated clean stated that matches the Pioneer concept. Here are the specific updates, completely removing the so. And I'm thinking about all this in real time, and kind of what I'm wanting to convey here is the fact that well, number one, you already have some examples, almost templates in a way of real apps. Like these were real apps that were built using Gemini 3 that you can remix, that you can use for ideas, for inspiration, and also just the fact that you can actually build games with this platform, and you see how quickly it actually is working. And then from here, we'll take what we build, we'll move it to the anti-gravity and to try that out. In order to then add some greater functionality to it, more so in the way of like if you wanted to launch this as a game and have a database attached to it and whatnot. All right, there we go. So it might be a little bit too techy for what we were looking for. I kind of liked actually what it was before. This is okay to start. It isn't the actual logo, but we can work on that. All right, and maybe we change initialize build to let's build. All right, so then, but it did change the Pioneer, the Gemini 2 Pioneer, and we have the shift in coloring as well, which is good. The branding is more on point. It's more like a demo kind of vibe though, from what you can see. Cool. So we can choose one of these. Let's choose I don't know, double jump. Let's you jump twice mid-air. Interesting. Okay. That's cool. Can I do it multiple times? That's cool. So it gives you like that superpower. So this is a game like we were able to like build a game that, I mean, you were able to build games before, but it's just kind of taking it to that next level. All right, so we have something to work with here. This is cool. It's functional, right? And so now that next step, and this is also as a way to now demonstrate the Google anti-gravity, which I have downloaded, but we'll be using for the first time now. So we're going to save this to GitHub. So if I go over to the top right, click on save to GitHub, name the repository. So I'm going to name this, literally name it vibe code. Let's see, vibe code pioneers game, right? And then I'm going to make this public for now, at least. Repository description. I don't know. All right, let's go with this right here. A Gemini-powered arcade runner remix with creator economy mechanics built with the Vibe Code Pioneers community. All right, this is cool. All right, create GitHub repo. I'm going to commit this stage and commit all changes. All right, so we now have this repo, Vibe Code Pioneers game. So if we go over to anti-gravity now, and I'm opening up this for the first time. So we're viewing this together. Let's get set up. You can start fresh or import from, let's I guess import from cursor, right? All right, dark, just like cursor. How do you want to use the anti-gravity agent? Agent-driven development, agent-assisted development, review-driven, custom configuration. So okay, so what level of, how much you want it to take over basically versus you driving it. Review policy. Agent desires always proceeds the default allows. The agent will occasionally request a review. All right, this sounds good. Agent assisted. Configure your editor. Configure your editor settings below. Configure your keyboard. All right, install 7 extensions. Install popular language extensions. All right, sign in with Google. So I know there were people having some problems signing in earlier with Google. Hopefully that's resolved now. All right, cool. Open anti-gravity terms of services. Cool. All right, so this looks like if you've used Coder from the Quen family. This looks kind of like that. I see you got Gemini 3, Claude Sonnet 4.5 for the models to select. You got planning mode. Agent can plan before executing tasks used for deep research, complex tasks, or collaborative work. Agent can execute tasks directly. You can add context. All right, so it's doing the installations right now. You got the extensions. So in this case, you can't add. So one of the things I do like is with Cursor, I like being able to use the Codex extension because that helps me save a lot of money. Remote Explorer, run and debug, Explorer. All right, so it looks like it has installed now. So if we want to go and clone a repository, so we can go over to GitHub, continue to GitHub. All right, so now I'm signed into GitHub, so I can now clone one of the repos. We're going to go with the vibe code Pioneers, created locally on the computer, and we like to open this. Yes, I trust the authors. Agent currently loading. All right, so then we have the composer right here where we can ask it anything. We have the game right here as well. So the first thing I like to do is just run it to make sure it's working as it currently should. It'll help me run this on local host. And you got Gemini 3 Pro high. You also got Gemini 3 Pro low. So I do like the feel of this, I will say. I do like the feel of it. And this is the whole futuristic vibe of the anti-gravity. I'm with all of it. All right, so it's ready to go, ready to rock and roll. Just waiting for a command completion up to 5 seconds. Anti-gravity would like to use the browser. Sure. Bring the anti-gravity agent into your browser to see and interact with websites. It empowers the agent to test features, intelligently monitor dashboards, seamlessly handle routine process. Cool. So they actually has a browser extension. All right. So we're going to add that extension to Chrome. That's dope. Now I believe it's now taken over my browser, right? As it's loading this game. What do we have going on here? Waiting for the page to load. Capturing a screenshot of the loaded local host. I've successfully installed it. The application is now running. I've installed the dependencies. I've also opened it in the browser for you. So I don't see the game. However, I'm not seeing the game. All right, so this is cool. So it can actually check your browser console. So you typically, when you're debugging, you'll go here. You look, more tools, developer tools, and then it'll show you kind of, any issues that may be going wrong in the console. Now it's actually able to do that in an automated way. All right, there we go. Okay, agent terminated due to error. You can prompt them out of track and start a new conversation. I don't know why I terminated the agent. It does look like we got what we needed. So all right, so it's working here. Let's see. Let's make sure we can play it. All right, good. So we got it playing locally on our computer. You see the drone on the side. All right, cool. All right, so it works. So now we'll go back to anti-gravity. So now what we want to do is we want to make this something that we can build out over time and be connected to a place where you can actually save your stats. Maybe you have a leaderboard and you can have other people play. So what we would now look to do is, so we know it's connected to our GitHub repo. I'm going to just let the agent kind of go crazy. Typically, I would kind of make this a little bit more step by step, but I'm gonna just kind of let the agent do its thing. So I'm gonna say first, I'm gonna make it the planning agent that we can go voice to text. This won't be kosher, but what I'll actually say right here is, all right, so the next step we would like to take is we want to have authentication. We want to have an ability to save the score and the data that accumulates from playing the game. We also want the people who are communicating and typing on that bottom left that's currently a demo. We want that to be real. Like, so we want this to be a game where people are able to chime in on those who are playing, and for it to be either multiplayer or participatory, where other people are able to log in and play and get on that leaderboard as well. And we're going to use Firebase, Google Firebase, for the database and for the authentication and for anything that needs to get stored in the app. All right, so I'm going back to the AI Studio in order to get the language for it, and then we could take that, we can put it into anti-gravity, and then while it's planning this, we can now go onto Firebase and start creating the database. So firebase.google.com. You're gonna go to console, create a new Firebase project. We can call this Vibe Code Pioneers game as we had it. Enable Google Analytics is cool. You can create a new account. All right, I accept the terms. Let it create that project. See what's going on here. So here is the plan it created. Have authentication, have an ability to score to save the score and the data that accumulates from playing the game. A lot of people who are communicating and typing. Want it to be a game where people are able to chime in. Want to be multiplayer or participatory. Want to go into Firebase. All right. Oh, this is dope. So it's actually pulled up Firebase and like kind of the rules around it for what needs to happen to make it, for what needs to happen. Select content within artifacts to leave a comment. So you can actually leave a comment you can actually comment on the information. All right. Exploring existing code base, checking UI components, examining. I've analyzed these. I've confirmed that the chat is currently mocked and there's no global leaderboard. I'm now creating the implementation plan to detail the Firebase integration, including auth, Firebase for chat, and data persistence. I've created a plan to integrate Firebase for auth, chat, and leaderboard. I've installed the Firebase SDK. Now I'm creating a Firebase file. All right, so it's in process, and we've got planning mode, so it's more paced and intentional, and we know we're going to have to create that project within Firebase. So we'll go back here. It says it's created, and we're going to go to build. Let's choose, start with Firestore database. So the two things we'll do right now is the Firestore database and then also the authentication. So you're going to click on create database, standard, next. You can start it in test mode, which basically it kind of gives you free reign and remove some of the security measures to start and for 30 days. And then after that, it automatically adds in security measures, and then you have to go in and create rules. So database is created. It's that simple. And I've started using Firebase a lot more now because I actually find it to be more kind of straightforward than Supabase. I was using Supabase a lot before. And I would also say, in addition to that, you notice that because you're part of the Google ecosystem with this, there's all the connections are already kind of there. So it makes it a lot easier if you're using Firebase. Next, we can go with authentication. This is going to be for a login. So get started, and we can just begin with maybe a Google login to begin, just to keep with the Google theme. Public facing name for project. It's called Vibe. Vibe Code pioneers, or maybe capital, right? Vibe code pioneers, and support email, my email, and then this should just fill in on its own. We're gonna save that. All right, so that is enabled, and that's it. We have two-factor authentication. So we have the Google sign-in, just like that. All right, let's go back to the game, see where it's at. I've implemented authentication, real-time chat, and the leaderboard. I've updated these. Now I'm verifying the changes. Refresh the page. Check for the presence of the sign-in with Google button on the main menu. Capture a screenshot. Check the console for errors. I've got a crash in the browser agent. I'm not focused on more graceful approach to Firebase and the Rebranding to start. Why screen when keys are absent? I plan to modify the file and plan to check it. To initialize Firebase properly if keys are provided or export dummy exchangeable. All right, so basically I have to now add in the Firebase credentials so that it can connect what it's building here with what we're building on the back end. And what's really cool about this is how it's able to, because it has the browser use, it's able to just do more and be really more autonomous. So what we should do is, I don't want to really disrupt this, but I do want to say that we have the Firebase project created, and so whatever, let me know what credentials you need, for example. All right, so you say, okay, Firebase can initialize correctly. The keys needed are the following: Firebase auth domain, Firebase storage bucket, Firebase messenger sending ID. All right, creating walkthrough and notifying user and showing you how to integrate. I've integrated Firebase into the game to enable authentication. All right, the next step for me. So to make the features fully functional, you need to provide your Firebase configuration keys. Create a .env file in the root directory, and then add these keys. The app now has authentication global reader. To make these changes fully functional, you need to add your Firebase keys. I've included instructions. In the walkthrough for now, the app runs in offline mode with mock data so you can see the UI changes. All right, so Firebase integration and multiplayer features. Integrate Firebase, enable persistent data storage. Through. All right, well, let's go back to Firebase. We're going to need to get that information that it needs. So, all right. Let's go up top. Let's see, project settings. All right, so if you go to project settings, all right, so I'm not sure what it needs. I believe the legacy credentials is what we would have added, but maybe now we just integrate it through this SDK, and it can verify. Gravity can verify. So here is the page showing where I believe the credentials would be, but it sounds like it's deprecated now. Deprecated meaning that just no longer in production. What exactly do you need to get this completed, and from where should I grab this information? All right, you're looking at the service accounts tab, which is for backend server config. We need the client configuration. Here's how to find the correct information. Click the general tab. It's the first tab on left, and that's project. Scroll down to the very, very bottom, select your web app, copy the config. All right. So the first one here, the general tab. Oh, I see. So it looks like I have to make the app first. Okay, so let's go web. Okay, cool. And we can set up Firebase hosting. Sometimes I like using Vercel for a lot of my hosting, but I've now just kind of been keeping everything in the Google ecosystem. For this, we can use Firebase hosting, everything in Vibe Code Pioneers. All right, so I had to skip over the part with the env files. Basically, on the page where you add Firebase to your web app, where it says add Firebase SDK, you just literally paste that into anti-gravity, and that'll add all the credentials you need in there. And you're able to install the Firebase Software Development Kit SDK, and it also install Firebase CLI, so you can make updates via anti-gravity, and then you literally can just deploy from there. So the agent keeps terminating even though, like, when it finishes for some reason. All right, so it's the CLI here. We can install that, and then click next. Then you can deploy this. I actually deploy the app itself. Sign into Google Firebase login. Initiate a project when you're ready to deploy. Put your static files in your app's deploy directory. Then run this command. All right, so we can come back here when we're ready for that. All right, so we got the Firebase CLI now. We could just accept this. And then I'm going to go to the fast and just say, and then if you were to look in the .env, you would see that the credentials are there. And just confirming that the project is all set. It looks like it's doing some testing now, adding debug log, retrieve log. I do like how it's reasoning and kind of going through that chain of thought to see if it's able to resolve everything on its own. And I love that it'll pull up the local host. It'll actually go to it. It'll test it. It'll come back. And so you're able to kind of really let it run on its own. I'm also noticing that it's running more smoothly than probably Cursor as far as just like that process of the testing. And Cursor also now does have that browser use, so maybe it also runs smooth in that same sort of way. But I'm liking how this process is thus far. Like when you see that blue light surrounding it, that shows that it's currently being controlled by the agent. All right, it looks like the Firebase connection is now set up correctly using the keys from your file. You should be able to click sign in. All right, cool. All right, so now before I sign in, I just want to say, let's change the initialized build. Change the initialize build on the home page to let's build. And then I'm going to say, let's remove the system ready. Actually, remove the awaiting input. Remove the awaiting input and just leave system ready. I want the overall experience to be inviting and not kind of like, intimidating. So, all right, that was quick. I just love that self updating. All right. Yeah, that's some sort of bug of like how that agent just terminates once it's done. All right, so this should be it. So now we should, if this works, we should be able to. Okay, interesting. So it allowed us to just begin the game. When really like maybe it doesn't really matter. Like you should maybe signing in is just allowing you to kind of participate on the level of communication and whatnot. So let's see. I'm going to sign in with my Google account. All right, so now I'm signed in. We're gonna need something here, maybe like I don't know, because it looks like it's supposed to be some sort of image there. But anyway, so we can log in, log out. Okay, so you see how here on the bottom left, we say cool. All right, so that now allows you to. So imagine that now, like other people can now sign into the app and like participate from like a communication messaging standpoint. But you don't necessarily need to be signed in to play the game, at least currently. All right, but then to maybe participate on the leaderboard, you do, and then maybe it's also now that's how you're. But I guess like even from the leaderboard standpoint, you may not necessarily need to be signed in, right? So we'll see. As far as authentication, I'll have to decide kind of what is going to make sense. Okay, see now you have the global ranking. That's me. Maybe we add a profile picture so that or something icon or something there. And then it's just okay, it's to start a new build. And so this is the game so far, right? And you can, it would be difficult to like be able to type while I'm playing, right? But I do like this feature here of like it being participatory, right? It being multiplayer, and what this Gemini 3 experience is now afforded, right? Being able to build this out with a Gemini 3 Pro. All right, cool. So that is what we see there. And then if we go back to our Firebase backend, you'll see an authentication. That sign in has happened. And if you look in the database, you'll also see that there's a collection that's been created for the chat, right? That was the text I put, cool. And it's also been a collection created for the leaderboard as well. So now this is connected to a live database and it's connected to authentication. So you could, if and when I deploy this, I can now share this with other people, and it's a live app that also stores information, and we can now grow it out from there. And so this is something that I'm definitely going to continue to work on, and allow it to evolve and grow from here. This is really cool, and this is to say that I look at what you can do. Like look at what you can do in just an hour, right? We went from Google AI Studio, we remixed a game that was there, turned it into our own, took it from the AI Studio where we adjusted that front end to anti-gravity, this agentic IDE, built out the back end through it. We have a GitHub repo where it's saved. And now, I could say push this current app to GitHub and it would just save it in GitHub. My last step is going to be to deploy it, but I may adjust the logo to the actual logo for the school community. Again, if you want to join us, Vibe Code Pioneers is in the description. This is the kind of stuff that we're doing. This is the kind of work Vibe Coders will be running ish, and Vibe coding is the present, right? Like this is what's happening, and it's just incredible to see that the technology is significantly ahead of the market. The average person isn't working on this kind of stuff, and it doesn't even realize like what you can do. Like I just built a game, right, in less than an hour. And so definitely something to try out, definitely something to check out. Remix one of the games, build something from scratch, and let's cook, let's build. This is an amazing time for tech and for just being able to bring your ideas to life. So that's all I have for you today. That's Gemini 3 and Anti-Gravity by Google. I will see you guys on the next one.